another rumor that isn't on the in the trades, but that is making the rounds. We have even alluded to it in our previous Star Wars video, is that Jon Favreau has left the Lucasfilm building.
Wow.
Listen, have you heard anything about these rumors?
Yes, I've heard that that's accurate. Well, this is speculation. This part is speculation. I think that the firing of Gina Carano and seeing his diminished role, I think that made him check out. I think it's also, I also think it's like, when you're at a certain level, it's not personal, it's business, right? And so it's not as if Jon Favreau's going to have a hard time getting a job.
No.
Okay. At all. It's just like, okay, you don't want me, I'm out. And I also think that the quality of the writing in season 3 reflected his attitude. What I've also heard is that part of that had to do with the fact that they had written Grogu out, that season 3 was getting back to the basics of Mando as a character with bounty hunting and intrigue and whatnot. And Kathleen Kennedy forced Grogu back into the series. And because of that, Favreau was like, okay, fine, I'll fulfill my contractual obligation, but that doesn't mean that he's going to put his full effort in. Clearly, I think we saw that with season 3. I mean, you've got like the Lizzo and Jack Black was like, if there's a term beyond jumping the shark, it's jumping the Lizzo.
I think we've created a new one. I like that better now.
Maybe orbiting the Lizzo.
I was to say that jumping takes a lot of effort, and when you jump, you might get sucked into her gravity. So,
oh my God,
wow. You're right. I think you would orbit.
What is the chat like? Is it orbiting? The season 3 of The Mandalorian orbited the Lizzo.
How about mounting the Lizzo?
Mounting the Lizzo. Who knows? All I can say is this: that it's clear that he didn't care. I'm told that he's out. I think, and part of that was, I think, the Gina Carano thing, though he wasn't particularly public about it, that would piss anybody off, especially because she was so beloved and she had nothing but good things to say about him, in spite of everything that happened. The forcing Grogu back into the show, where like just having that, it just made no sense. He's in an IG-88 mech suit, like bringing a baby to these like dangerous situations is stupid. It's dumb. He checked out. He doesn't care. He's not a part of it. And it sucks because we would be having a completely different conversation here, because Jon Favreau was up for directing the episode 7. He was going to do episode 7. And he turned it down. And think of how different history would have been if JJ didn't get his untalented hands on Star Wars. Well, you can blame The Last Jedi all you want. It was unfixable. After that first movie, The Force Awakens, Star Wars was unfixable.
Agreed.
You weren't going to fix the sequel trilogy. There's no coming back from killing your dad with a lightsaber. Okay. Fine. You can cut off your son's hand. Okay. You kill your dad with a lightsaber. One of the most beloved characters in fictional history, Han Solo.
The story is that Han wanted to die. I mean,
Harrison did want to die, but you don't go out and die, but you don't want to go out like a bitch. You don't.
No, you don't dump him in a ditch and just leave him alone and not have a. I mean, we just saw Terry Metalis pull off a 20-minute denouement.
Yes.
On, and you just pulled out the tissues. I cried during actually the 7 of 9 scene.
Yes, same.
I did. I found myself tearing up. I went, what am I doing? And Han Solo, roll him off into the ditch, leave him alone. That's it. No tears, no celebration, nothing. I mean, bite me.
Okay. So I would say that he's been checked out even longer, which would add to what Chris was saying.
Yeah,
I think because I think Book of Boba Fett and all the other things that got turned over to others and the way that they were speaks volumes, and the fact that they had to, mix these shows up because his path that he'd already predestined had been completely ruined by the dabbling of others and, contractual issues with certain actresses.
If I may, just very briefly, like you are entirely right, but where this all stems to is actually the firing of Gina Carano, which I have always said that was removing a load-bearing pillar. Because when was that? That was shortly after the release of The Mandalorian season 2, and while Book of Boba Fett was in production, and that is where the interference started happening. So you are entirely right. I just wanted to add in the timeline just to underline your point. So carry on.
I don't think, and you guys pointed out the Han Solo moment. It would have been really simple for Kylo Ren to say, "We want to capture Han Solo alive," right? Like in a spaceship battle, and he somehow dies or eats.
Well, I even argue that, I agree. He went out like a bitch in the movie. You just have to make it mean something in the second film. That's the problem.
Exactly.
They didn't pick it up and do anything with it.
Tom, you're dead on.
Because that should have been the motivation for Luke to get his fucking ass off that island and help his sister.
Well, and it didn't help that you had an emotional reaction from Daisy Ridley's character, Rey.
That's because they were trying to recreate the no scene with Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's why.
Regardless, she didn't know this person very long, and for not a whole lot of extent of adventures. All of the moments that were artificially created in that first film left the audience just, unsatisfied, and then it went from there. Or in the first and second film.
But Andre is 100% right. As we know, also along those same lines, what happened in that timeline is when Chapek, for some reason, decided to tell Kathy to quit working on Blood and Bones and get her ass back over to Lucasfilm and concentrate on Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and Willow. We saw how that all turned out. Because the other two, anyway, while we're about to see Indiana Jones, we saw how Willow turned out. And Star Wars, Andre is 100% correct. When she came back is when she retook control of everything. Gina Carano's out. Dave Filoni gets a new position as creative head. And all of a sudden, Favreau is just kind of sidelined. And just before that is when he had all this new power and he was in control. He had this plan. He had what they were calling basically the Marvel plan for Star Wars, which was you build off of each series. You had Ahsoka and you had the Rangers of the Republic, which would lead into Cara Dune series. And then Ahsoka was supposed to lead into Era of the Empire. And now we're just seeing it all just kind of dumped into the Mandalorian season 3 and maybe season 4 if it actually gets one. But I don't even know if that's going to happen. I think that's all just going to be put right into that ending movie that who's directing? Not Jon Favreau. It's the cowboy.
I just think it's interesting that at this level, people can air their grievances and also screw up and affect projects that affect their bottom line, and they just don't care about it. I feel like I'm in the court of some 1400 French court, where with powdered wigs and people dying all around them and just not caring. And we're just seeing these children beat each other up in the products they're producing for us, and we're kind of reading the tea leaves and going, well, what's going on with this show? It sucks. Oh, the main person is just only putting half their energy into it because they want to leave, and this is the result. And then they made it. It's like they don't care. Nobody cares. They're just getting through stuff. It's weird.
Indeed. Yeah, so
I always leave people speechless here.
Yeah, we are speechless because there's so many firings happening.
Yeah, Don Lemon is gone.
So before we move on,
Tucker Carlson is gone.
Yeah, I was about to get into that. Chris, are you optimistic about the future of Star Wars without Favreau?
No, I think it's long gone. I think season 3 is the nail in the coffin. Mm-hmm. I think it's a hobbled brand that's how do you take a brand that's worth as much as it was when Disney originally bought it and destroy it? Well, we've seen a lesson in that. And Kathleen Kennedy's not going anywhere. She has a rock solid contract. You have a ballless leadership at Disney. Look at the other parts of Disney as an example, including most notably their animation division. When you compare it to things like the rise of Illumination and the fall of Disney, you look at how popular Mario's more popular than Mickey Mouse. Okay, if they made a Mickey Mouse movie, it would not make $1 billion. And Steamboat Willie, I believe it's next year. Steamboat Willie falls into the public domain. I think Yellow Flash is going to be doing a comic book about it, which I think is brilliant. I can't wait. I'll buy it. Disney's hobbled. I mean, all they have are sequels, requels, race swapped. You've got like your Little Mermaid race swapped and your Peter Pan race swapped. Is that all they have as a company?
Seems to be.
It's if that's your only card to play, you will fail. I mean, they're failing. It's you can only lose $100 million per movie so often before you finally get before you're I mean, what, they're laying off 7,000 people now. It's going to be more next time. And secondly, this, as much as like earlier in the conversation, Paul, you and I were talking about how terrible Ghosted is, and I will finish it, but and it is terrible. Apple as a company brings in, this isn't profit, just revenue. They bring in $1 billion. It's $1 billion every 3 days. That is the amount of money that Apple generates. Okay. And they don't care if they're losing money on this entertainment play. I think it's a play to set themselves up and to purchase and or merge with someone going in the future. So watch for that. There's going to be some shakeup in the streaming business, and you're going to see a lot of these streaming services merge.
Oh, no doubt that something's going to be happening here. Apple also wants to move Apple TV boxes.
Yes.
So I was really disappointed that Ghosted ended up on Apple, considering how good Lasso is.